All right, we are live. Hey guys, welcome to another very special episode, afternoon episode of Pro Seller Talk. And I have with you today my friends from Kentucky, Daniel Metters and Eric Lambert. These guys are killing it out there, and you'll see that I put a link up for their wholesale course and bonuses that we offer with their course. And the bonuses that we offered, I know there's a lot of people out there doing this, but the bonuses that we offered, we wanted to make sure they were our bonuses that we created, and that would actually help you jumpstart your business in wholesale if you decide that this is for you. Again, this is not for everybody. This is something that you certainly want to be doing things and having a little bit of capital before you go into this kind of investment. And both Daniel and Eric will agree with that. Hey guys, it's great to see you guys again. And for those of you that don't know them, they started out $600 a few years back and just surpassed $7 million doing wholesale. Now, they didn't start out with wholesale. They started out with retail arbitrage like just about everybody out there. And now they have completed their last year doing over 7 million with their transition of, I think you guys are doing strictly wholesale now. Is that correct?
Yeah,
100% all wholesale.
Yeah. So, hey guys, welcome. And I'm excited to have you here.
Yeah, great to be here. It's,
yeah, absolutely, man.
yeah, go Wildcats. That's right. Antoine says go Wildcats. But yeah, we're always excited to, talk about wholesale, and even more so now with, some of the infringement, cases and stuff that are being opened on people. Like, it just makes us even more, glad to be selling on Amazon in this manner. So yeah, it sounds like it'll be fun.
It's like been one of the happiest accidents. Is with a lot of the rules changes and stuff like that. It's been really kind of one of the things it's
worked out really well for us.
Yeah.
So, want to get started? I'll ask you a few questions. I know we've got some questions here for you that you guys can answer. Basically, just a quick rundown of how you got started on Amazon and how you started with wholesale, and how your Amazon business currently operates now. Because I know you guys got a great story to tell.
I mean, it obviously doesn't seem as great to us because we went through it, but I know to some people they think that it's something they can relate to or whatever. But it's, full-time employees. Found out about the FBA opportunity and the arbitrage as a business model. Of course, at that time, it didn't have the name, or at least if it did, we didn't know it as that, just the principle behind it. And gave it a try, got $600 between us together, opened us a little credit card, and went about 6 months that way, turning our money over and over. And after about 6 months, we left our jobs, started RA full-time. Just Dan and I, we did that for 2 years, did about $900K each those years, which was great. But, I mean, we'd reached our potential, our capacity. Like, we just didn't have enough time to go out and source. And, because of where we're located, we're an hour removed from anything relevant outside of the one Walmart in this area. So about halfway through 2014, we decided to try, the wholesale business model with the stereotypical ways, which is a trade show or Google search wholesale opportunities or wholesale products to wholesale. And it was pretty terrible for us, to be quite honest. We just didn't have any success with it. The companies we got approved with, their margins weren't there, and it just was dreadful for us. And then Dan decided, let's just, he was looking at a product and wanted to sell it. So he said, let's just call them, contact the manufacturer, see what they say. And that's kind of how the reverse sourcing method that those videos are talking about originated. It was, he rang them up, talked to them for a little bit, set us up an account, and away we went. And so we started sourcing all of our products that way, finding out products that were selling the way with the velocity that we wanted our products to sell. And then you just have to figure out, if you can get the cost of goods low enough to turn a profit. And we did that the rest of 2014 while still doing RA full time. But we could see that it was going to take over it. So we did RA for that last Q4. That was the last time we did RA, Q4 2014. And in 2015, January, moved into this facility, which is a 10,000 square foot warehouse. We now have 8 employees. At the time, we'd hired a couple, and I've added since then. But we moved over here, did $3.9 million in 2015 in sales. Last year, we did just shy of $7 million. And as we stand now, we're at 8 full-time employees. And And then, like I said, obviously we're doing well, and we're excited and proud about that. But we're even, we've got this sense of relief too. With we've obviously had, been contacted by Amazon for, inauthentic or IP infringement stuff that people are getting. But we don't have receipts to rely on or things like this. We have literal letters from manufacturers saying, yes, this person is authorized. They're selling genuine product and authorized to sell on Amazon on under our brand. So it's really a good time. I mean, it's been great for us.
And I know from prior conversations that I had with you guys that you had trouble getting started with Wholesale, and you had to pretty much create your own system to for what you do. Can you explain some of the issues you had as far as someone that's on here that they're first starting up in Wholesale and they want to get into it? Just some of the obstacles that you had and how you overcame them.
Yeah, I mean, I alluded to it earlier, but Dan will give you a much better rundown and explain it a little better.
The problem is, whenever we got into Wholesale, we got into it just like everybody else. And whenever you do that, you're effectively competing the same way everybody else competes, right? It's like I have my disadvantage is I didn't have the bankroll or capital to compete at that level. Like, I can't compete against somebody bigger than me's order size. It's just never going to happen. So whenever we were doing the more traditional models, it just didn't work for us because, number one, we didn't have the experience necessary to do it, and number two, we didn't have any strategic advantage. But what we found is when we started employing the reverse sourcing method and going directly to brands, it wasn't about our order size. It started becoming more about how we could help those brands succeed in the marketplace, because that's that's something they don't get approached with very often. Most people want to approach a wholesale situation as purely transactional. They just want to buy their product, they want to sell their product, and they want to buy it again. We went about it a different route. We focused on how we could help those products actually sell more in the marketplace, how we could help them grow their presence there. And it was just a different approach, and it helped us develop really good relationships with our vendors. And what we found is it let us compete at that level because we became a fundamental part of helping them, a fundamental part of their brand on Amazon. So it's in that regard, I think it's necessary, if you don't have the budget to compete at the large level, to be able to do that, to have those advantages, and to be able to compete versus bigger companies.
I think you're muted, I believe, John.
Yeah, I do that. So I had to drink something. So if somebody wanted to get started with Wholesale, what are some of the tips that you could give them to help them so that they can help cut down on their learning curve?
Well, I mean, first there's a requirement or two, and that is you have to be registered with your state or get a letter from your state acknowledging that you're a business. And that to do that, you have to get a FEIN, which is a federal employer identification number, basically a social security number of sorts for your business. And you get that at irs.gov. It's free. It takes you like 5 minutes, and you'll get it emailed to you. Then you submit it to your state, and you'll get the certificate that I was talking about. So that's all you actually need. But in terms of like tips to do it, it's really to be successful in the way that we do Wholesale, you have to shift your mindset. You have to start approaching things as a business, which means that sending emails from random person at gmail.com you have to understand it's going to be less professional and less effective than random person at awesomecompany.com, a registered domain. We also suggest that you get a little website set up, just a little informative website. Now, I'm not talking about a full-on e-commerce platform or anything to that nature, just something that maybe have a couple of graphics, but have, explain what your company does, and what you can do for these brands in terms of putting their products on Amazon, improving their sales on Amazon through, the various value-added propositions that we suggest or that we've used or that you can come up with on your own. So that's kind of like, I think the first thing is to really change and understand that these people, the brands that we target are not going to be excited just by an order. Like you're not going to be able to ring them up with any email address and have them take your order, and that's going to be the end of it. It's somebody that protects their brand and wants to make sure that the person that they're selling it to does what they say in terms of where they sell it, and honor their pricing in the sense that if there's a minimum advertised pricing, and so that's kind of like the first thing is to get into that professional business mindset.
Yeah, I agree. And, as far as, I went through your course and looked at that course, and I can tell you right now, you mind if I share something from it?
Sure, no, go right ahead. There's nothing proprietary anywhere, and certainly not in our course. Our course is great, and we're very proud of it. But it's just our experiences, and it's so. Yes, we shoot on. No problem.
I think the terminology that you use of leaf sourcing and the process you go through, I call it the rabbit holes. Going down those rabbit holes. I think that's awesome, and I just want to put out there for the people that are on here too, and let them know that I do not endorse any high-end wholesale courses other than Dan and Eric's, because I know these guys. I've met them. I know they're the real deal, and I know what they put out is real quality work. And I was just impressed by the amount of webinars. And I mean, if you want something, yes, it's a high-end course, but if you're looking for something that I know that you can 100% become, it's almost a guarantee that you can be successful if you put the work in. But let me tell you, there's a lot of deep information in there. There's a lot of webinars that if you don't like sitting down watching an hour-and-a-half webinar and they've got a bunch of them in there, it may not be for you. But if you can absorb the information that they've actually put in there, there's a lot of work that went into this. Then this is absolutely the course that you guys should be looking at if you're going to go into the wholesale business. There's no question in my mind that what they put out is quality, and the information that they share out there is like anything out there I've seen I've seen other wholesale courses out there that are much more expensive, that don't have the quality and detail, and as far as paying, the detail to attention that they put in this course. And the great thing I like about it is they keep adding to it. Guys, you get this course, it doesn't matter if you have this course 2 years from now. If they keep adding to it, it's just part of that course. They just keep giving you more and more value. So it really does get me excited to know that these guys are not only put out good quality, because I know some of the questions I get is, why should we follow them and what makes them an expert? Well, I don't think they even consider themselves experts. I think they consider themselves as having a proven track record, and they put something in place that can really help you grow your business. And if nothing else, what I always like is that there's a lot of people out there that put things out there that just to put them out there. But when somebody's walked the walk and talked the talk and actually is backing that with their numbers and actually willing to show you and teach you, I think that has a lot of validity to it. And I think that's something that these guys have done. So guys, make sure you get your questions in here so we can get them answered by Daniel and Eric. I mean, these guys are an open book as far as information. We do have some in here. If you guys want to take some, it's up to you.
Yeah, sure. That's no problem. And I want to take the time to thank you for those words. And it's more, it's rewarding to us because we have put a lot of work into this. And like you said, it's not that I'm sitting here saying I'm a wholesale expert, but what I am telling you is this course is derived exactly from what we did wrong, what we did right, and what things are successful for us now. And as you said, it gets updated. So if we start experimenting with new tactics or new things that turns out to be really successful, then it gets updated into the course. We add it to the course, and it's part of the ongoing access to the course that you get when you purchase. So it's like something we're very proud of. And it's not, I don't get offended if somebody said, well, you're not a wholesale expert, and I say that's fine. What I can tell you is I can tell you where I started, where I am now, and this is an exact blueprint of how I get there. If that makes me an expert, great. And if it doesn't, I don't even know how you define it. But I can tell you that it's exactly and it's basically shortcuts around any of the pitfalls and the traps that we fell into over our journey into wholesale thus far.
I mean, that's the thing of it is it's a lot of people, whenever they put out a product, it may be some of the model that they use or are part of a piece of their success or something like that. we don't do other stuff. Like we don't private, I know people have success private labeling. We don't do it. We don't do retail arbitrage, online arbitrage. We are 100% wholesale, and our course talks the talk, or it walks the walk. Like it's exactly what we do from beginning to end. It's how we started, how we scaled, and the tactics that we use now.
And what's more, it's wholesale the way that we do it. So I mean, there's several different ways to do wholesale, and some of our students have even kind of like understood the theory and got the experience doing it our way, and then kind of spun off that and doing it their way. Because I mean, you're not going to find in there how to make a bundle, how to make wholesale bundles, how to go to trade shows and kill it, because we don't know how to do this. So I'm not going to pretend and either give you secondhand nature or information from somebody that I know is doing it. You're going to be better to learn from them. So it's not anything that we don't know and haven't tried, tested, and used on a daily basis. So it's exactly that. That's exactly what's in there.
I mean, if you want to learn how to kill it at a trade show, talk to John.
Right.
Like that's.
I mean, we don't make any. We don't try to cover all the bases. Like, yeah, sure, come on and you'll learn. No, it's because it's not that. I mean, we've been terrible at it, and I'll admit it. But the things that have worked for us are detailed very, like you said, in depth in the course.
Yeah, absolutely, I agree. And like I said, I think the course, you could have cut it in half and still got the same amount of dollar amount that you guys are getting for it, because I just think it really does over deliver. And if anybody follows it and goes through it, I mean, the videos are just so self-explanatory. And the way Dan sits there, I love Dan sitting there with his little Jungle Scout Pro and showing all the details of how he drills down, and he talks about Amazon and how, the one thing I get from the theme of Dan is we don't go against Amazon. I don't care what you say, I'm not doing it. And he just stays away from it and kind of just looks at the FBA sellers, and he says, oh, private label? Nope, stay away from that too.
Yep.
But you go down those rabbit holes of those things, and you may start out with a certain product, but the thing that amazes me is that the product that you're looking at may not even be the product that you want to sell.
Right.
You're going down that rabbit hole and taking it. It could be a pair of scissors that ends up being, hair remover. You don't know. It could be
Right.
where you guys decide to go. And I think that you guys do that homework says a lot about, what you guys have put together. And like you said, you're wholesale, and that's what you know, and that's what you do. And this course is, the one thing I love about the course is it's based on your experiences. It's based on what you guys have done, trial and error. There's a lot to be said about that. Like I said, there's a lot of things out there that people just write things just because they read books and they just think they can put a course together. You guys have actually trial and error, and this is your course that you put based on living it, which is huge. It's huge.
Yeah.
So
yeah, we like to think so too.
Yeah, we do have some questions here. Let's see.
Okay.
It says, and the other thing is you guys don't even touch private label. You don't know private label. You don't care about private label right now. At some point in time, you might. You just know wholesale, and that's what you do, and you master it, and you do it very well. Says, how much capital investment would it take to get started in wholesaling?
I mean, you can get started for, whatever your minimum order quantity on the first product you found, which for us it varies between $300 and $500. And a lot of people think that your minimum orders are huge in wholesale. It's $5,000, and we find that's very infrequent for us. But we suggest people have $2,000 to $3,000 in capital that you can invest without it affecting your day-to-day operating decisions in your business. And that's so that you can get multiple, accounts set up with multiple SKUs and, have that return that first month, that experience over several SKUs. If you kick it off with $500 and that's your first minimum order, you've got to, turn that into $700 at the end of the first month. And then it's just going to take a lot longer. Your experience is going to be really slow. So, we like to recommend about $2,000 to $3,000. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that's about right. Plus, sometimes if you're working with a vendor, they'll give you volume discounts and stuff like that. Like you want to have a little flexibility in your business. And I don't feel like I feel like 2 to 3 is a good minimum to give you some flexibility to get started and start really learning what you're doing.
Yeah, that's definitely, if you're going to get into wholesale, I mean, you can buy smaller by the case and stuff like that and do test lots. And I'm sure that you guys do that. You did that in the beginning where you were going in and testing a product. I think the one thing that you have to do in wholesale or even private label is if you want to buy smaller and you want to test the product, you always want to test it to make sure it's doing what you want, and then you can build up from there. Let's see. We've got this is a good one. And I think I touched on this a little bit with you going down the rabbit holes. It says, how would you know what is a good wholesale product?
Yeah, I mean, the best answer I can give you first off is check those videos out, because it gives you an idea of how we target products. The reverse sourcing video that John was mentioning is obviously much more in depth of that. I mean, this just gives you the idea and numbers behind the types of products we're looking for. How we find them is like I said, it's reverse sourcing, and it's something that we find products on Amazon that are already selling well on Amazon. That, and it details that to a great degree, and it's.
I mean, just check the videos out. Like our answer will literally just not do this justice. Like, just check out the videos. Even if you don't have no interest in wholesaling, I promise you will learn something from those videos that will apply to you selling on Amazon.
Somebody put, how much is the course? They can actually click the link above to get that if they want, and see the bonuses that we've added. Like I said, we put a bonus package together based on stuff that we have. We have a special deal for if you want to send it to our fulfillment center. We've given you a bonus deal there where you get a credit of $200 towards your personal stuff coming to us. We also have some other things that we have in there for the bonus that we think that will help you, along with the tools that you obviously need, like Jungle Scout and things like that. But we have, some other apps in there that we've created that really simplify the whole process and help you. We have some other questions here too. Let's see. We have, do you also give instructions on setting up the basic website needed to show manufacturers?
I'm pretty sure there's a module.
I mean, we don't actually just give instructions. I mean, Dylan literally there's a video in our course of Dylan building a website from scratch. He literally starts with nothing, and you get to see step by step him walk through and build the website. I think it takes him like 25, 30 minutes. So I would say it's more powerful than instruction.
I mean, it's really like cookie cutter, plug and play. You're literally watching him do it, and then you can just pause the video and do the same thing on your end. It's really
absolutely
simple.
And I've seen that inside the actual course itself, where you guys go through and show how to do that. I mean, it's right there. I mean, guys, when I say this course, if you want to get into wholesale, this course is from A to Z. I mean, they left nothing uncovered or unturned. I mean, there's no rock unturned here. It's fully packed with all kinds of information. But I'm going to tell you right now, it's going to take you some time to go through it. You're not going to sit down and think you're going to get through this course in an hour. I mean, realistically, it's going to take you. It probably took me 30 days to get through a lot of those videos and some of that information, and a lot of the stuff I already knew, so I was able to skim over some of that stuff. But if you're not familiar with anything of how Dan and Eric operate, then it's going to take you some time. What do you guys think to go through this course, an average time frame that you think would be conservative for somebody to go through this?
I mean, you can like, the core component of the course is the normal videos, and they're the short 5 minute, like, super targeted videos, and there's probably eight hours of those. I have no idea. And then we have drill down webinars where those things are like an hour and a half, 2 hours on very, very specific topics. And there's like 20 of those. I mean, if you want to drill down on a specific subject. But, the way we suggest going through our course is go through and implement. And that's going to vary so much by, what your technical skills are, how much time you're able to commit to it. But in terms of like raw course material, there's 8 to 10 hours of the normal videos, probably 40 hours of webinars if you want to watch them. But again, there's very specifically targeted. And beyond that, there's tons of PDFs and stuff like that to help you really get going and institute the material.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, you've got very targeted videos and webinars. And that was going to be my next question, but you kind of went right into it. Is how do you suggest that someone that's wanting to get into wholesale attack your course?
I mean, you just have to go one step at a time. That's the thing. We don't teach people. I mean, I like that. I actually pride myself in this answer and pride our work on this. We are not trying to teach people how to make money. There's lots of ways to make money. Like, I'm trying to teach people how to grow a sustainable business that can grow and scale to the levels that they want. So, if you're just looking to make a couple extra bucks, there's a lot cheaper ways to learn how to do that. If you're looking how to create a sustainable business, like I think our course is very, very good at that.
Yeah, and I would agree with that. And I was going to say that, yeah, you guys aren't just doing what you do. You're actually showing people how to build in a sustainable, replenishable business, and 100%.
Yeah, I think that's what sets us apart from most other offers and other offerings in terms of courses. I mean, I feel like our content is better too, but even if it's a wash there, I feel like they build, the information on the things that we've learned and learned how to implement in growing a business. Because there's a lot of things that, went wrong for us because we didn't know. You don't know what you don't know. So like, I feel like that gives people really good information, a really good head start for doing that type of scaling.
I mean, conceptually, if you think about it, I mean, John, you've been doing this stuff for years. Like, conceptually, wholesale is really easy. Like, it's not, that part's not rocket science at all. It's not, I mean, it's not going to be super difficult to get started. Like, the hard part's not the wholesale part. The hard part for people is to learn to scale it and grow it and make it consistent. And that's what our course focuses on. Our course is there. It's a long haul course. I mean, we want people that want to really dive in, and we want people to take action and realize that, I want to be growing my business. I want to eventually be able. That's what we do. Is we don't, as far as our Amazon business, like, we don't really mess with it anymore. It's not something we have to do. We have strategic meetings with our team, but that's it. I mean, I don't pack boxes. I don't ship packages. I don't source product. I don't call manufacturers. Like, we try to make everything easily replicated in our business. And the logic is that's how you grow. I mean, if you're the sole wheel in your business, it's almost impossible to grow because everything has to go through you and there's only so much of you. But if you can create systems that work outside of you, you can grow your business as big as you want without having to commit more time. And that's what we want people to do, is we want people to be able to have that luxury of scale.
I guess the next question I would have that somebody would probably want to ask is, do you teach how to build those systems? So somebody that comes in here, so that you're talking about scalable, do you teach them how to scale it in the course?
I mean, I feel like we do a great job of it, because that's the premise of our business is we teach people how to do a process. And here's the trick about scaling. When you learn a process very well, you teach it to somebody, right? And that's the thing, is I feel like we teach people how to really learn a process, and then we give them tips on how to teach it to somebody else. And that's what you want to do, right? You want to make your business operate without you.
Yeah. We have another question from Stu here. He's saying, are the wholesale strategies you teach only applicable to Amazon? I want a scalable business, but worry about being tied only to Amazon in case they change their TOS, etc.
No, I mean,
sort of. It's not, Amazon's the way we make money, but you've got to understand too, the principles are still there, but we rely heavily on the FBA program. So that allows the scalability to end users. You can still, I mean, you would have to book you completely to other platforms. It would still be applicable all the way up until the product goes out. I mean, we don't deliver to end user, so ever. We don't fulfill any of our orders.
I mean, I'm not going to teach you how to ship an eBay order.
Right.
But here's the thing.
But the concepts of business and scaling would apply in any e-commerce marketplace, I think.
I mean, here's the thing. We teach you how to develop relationships with the manufacturer. We teach you how to source products effectively, and we teach you how to develop great relationships. You can sell. We sell on eBay. I mean, it's not a very big part of our business. We do it. We do it through Joe Lister and things like that. But how you sell product and how you distribute product is part of your own strategy. We teach you how to get to the point of scale. That's what we want to do.
Yeah, and my answer to that, Stu, would be that basically wholesale, you can scale it anywhere. We actually sell it on Walmart.com too, so there's other platforms that are out there that you can explore. It's definitely not just a zoned in Amazon type thing that Dan and Eric are teaching. At some point in time, I'm sure that they'll be scaling it in other ways too, because that's just the way it is. Amazon's market is ever changing, and you just don't want to put your eggs all in one basket, and you just want to continue to find other options to be able to do it. And like I said, we found Walmart.com actually on certain things sells better than it does on Amazon. So it really depends on what market you're looking at, and also the kind of products that you have. I mean, the products that we put on Walmart weren't on Walmart, so it made a huge difference to the Walmart marketplace as now these things are there that weren't there. So it really depends on if you're bringing something to another market that's already there, or if you're bringing something that's kind of new and exciting to the Walmart shoppers or the market that you're going to. It could be Shopify, any of those type of things.
But lots of our students use multiple marketplaces. It's not, that's a lot of people really believe in that diversification of sales channel. So.
All right, let's see. We've got from Antonio. What is the typical minimum ROI percentage you will expect on a product? Good question.
I mean, for us, it's going to probably be different than most people. I mean, we have overhead. We have to keep product moving at all times and stuff. But so for us, it's about 30%. I
think that's pretty standard, though. Like, I mean, if you look at the cost of a product, is generally 50% of 50% of retail, and you factor in Amazon fees and things like that. 30% is pretty natural. Obviously, the more expensive the product is, the less those fees impact it, and the bigger that margin gets. And sometimes we get some big 60, 80% ROI stuff, but I mean 30%'s pretty much what you can expect once you incorporate Amazon fees and expected prices you pay for items.
Yeah, I think that's a good standard, 30% for wholesale. I mean, I think you're doing very well if you're getting 30% on wholesale. I know sellers that do wholesale that make less than that. So.
Oh yeah, I mean, we do have products that do make less than that, but that's where we like to focus and target if we can.
Let's see. We've got Antonio again. Antonio's on the roll here. He says,
"Yeah.
What point once you get the business going do you know it's time to hire an employee?" That's a great question.
I mean, for us, it was just a matter of we realized that our time would be better spent sourcing. If we just like, man, if we didn't have to pack all these boxes and label all this stuff and get all this out, we'd be finding more products. So we just hired somebody straight away at that. I mean, but that was pretty straightforward for us.
Right. I mean, and had we knew about prep centers when we started, I don't know if we would have hired that, for that position. We would probably just utilize prep centers. We just didn't know they existed. But in terms of it's whenever you feel like there's more work than you can accomplish. That's whenever you should be looking to replicate it. Like at that point, you know how to teach it. At that point, you know what you're doing, and there's more opportunity for you out there. You just can't get to it. Like that's when you start hiring people, in my opinion.
Let's see. We have another one. It says, do you ever ship product directly to Amazon from the manufacturer, or do all products come directly to you first?
We have some manufacturer direct, but most of ours still come here first. So, I mean, we've got the facility for it and things of that nature. So we don't really push manufacturers to make them or try to teach them how to ship directly to Amazon for us.
Plus, it kind of helps you with quality control too.
Right. I mean, our first order would always, even if we had a manufacturer that knew how to do it and we've had confidence in and things of that nature, I would still have my first order always shipped to me so that I could see the product, we can see what kind of prep and things of that nature. Because I wouldn't want the prep for a manufacturer to be overly complicated. I don't want them sending bottles in on my behalf without wrapping it in poly bag or whatever it required. So.
I guess that's one of the questions before I get back to this question. That's one of the questions I have with the wholesale stuff. Do you try to stay more with straight stickering to help your processing, or do you kind of, I know you don't do bundling, but do you bag stuff because, it takes a little bit more time to do that. So you stay more with just finding products that can go straight into Amazon sticker to like set it and done type deal? Or
we're over the, I mean, I'll be honest with you, I think we're pretty over the top with the prep we do. Like we really, really try to keep it super protected for the customers. We to give you an example, we bought what was it, 214,000 bags in 2015, which means we probably bagged about 200,000 items. So I mean that's about 50% of the items we sold. So maybe a little bit more than that. But I mean that's the thing is as far as we look for a product to be profitable, including our prep. I mean I feel like a lot of people will dodge higher prep items just because it is that extra work. But if you can factor it in and still be profitable, I think it's good. But you also have to consider your capacity. Like if you're trying to deal with all this stuff yourself, I mean honestly, I would definitely suggest using a prep center and letting them deal with it. But if you're doing all this stuff yourself, you want to focus on the items that are going to make you the most amount of money in the least amount of time. So, if that happens to be bagging and bubble wrapping and all that jazz, then by all means do it. But, a lot of the times there's a lot easier stuff out there, and that's what you probably want to be focusing on. Yeah.
And I think, Daniel, you had a great, that was a great answer. And part of that answer, I think people need to realize, and a lot of them don't, is that when you're buying wholesale, you need to make sure, you're talking about Amazon fees, but also you got to be looking at, if you're sending it to a prep center, you got to make sure that you factor in what the cost is of the prep center. And I think a lot of people go with that 50% rule. It's 50% off of the retail, but they don't factor in, and they figure, your 30% is good, but they don't factor in when they're buying what it's actually going to cost the prep center to bag it and send it and do what they need to do into it. And that's where those margins get a lot lower. So I think they need to really make sure that if they do have a prep center, that they're buying right and that they understand that it's going to cut into their margins based on what needs to be done to have it prepped and sent in for you. So I think that's a really valuable point that they need to know.
I mean, I'll even take that further. If it's not just don't just factor this at the prep center. If you're doing this stuff yourself, I promise you it has a cost. Like you just don't think that, I'll just have this shipped to me so I can not have to pay the cost of a prep center. I promise you that time has a cost, and it's just find a better product. If your margin is that tight, you can't afford that fee, and I would find a better product rather than monopolize my time trying to deal with minimal money.
And through this course that you guys are teaching, you guys go into that a little bit too about buying. I think I remember seeing there where you have to buy right, make sure that you're buying right, so your margins are there.
All right, we call it defining your product range.
Yeah.
I mean, your product range will vary based on your capacity and your costs. The beautiful thing about a prep center, and Eric always touched on this because this is the kind of stuff he has to deal with in our business. The thing about a prep center is if I'm sending new items, John, I know how much it's going to cost. Like there's a matrix or a breakdown or it's flat or whatever it is. Like you're going to tell me how much it's going to cost me to prep this item. If you're trying to do all this stuff yourself, you don't really know the cost. Like you have to reverse it. There's a lot more thought that goes into figuring out your costs. Like we have to think about rent. I'm definitely not even going to be able to name like even a quarter of this stuff because he's the guy that monkeys with it. But it's like rent and workers' comp and payroll, and I'm sure we have about 1,000 other expenses.
I mean utilities, and then on top of all of that, you still have to have metrics. You have to know what your employees able to they're processing. How long it takes you to process that unit, and that's a lot of data. I mean, it's just so, and that's all just to get to figure out how much per item it costs you to prep. So, like a lot of costs are hidden or not really taken into consideration when people think about prepping products in house. Yeah,
and prep center is the same way. I mean, we just went through some training the other day about if I've got 4 people prepping it and I'm only taking this amount of money and I've got all these hours that I'm paying out for it, is it worth the prep? So
Right.
you got to look at those, and I'm teaching my managers that as they're training new people here is like, you got to look at those things, and you got to factor in costs. Same as when you're buying stuff. Well, the prep center's got to do the same thing. We got to factor in if it makes sense to be prepping those type of items. Let's see.
Yep.
We've got Steven says, regarding wholesale prepping, what percentage of your inventory is commingled? Does commingle allow for you 30-day supply to be more readily available in all the many warehouses?
We commingle when possible, but not many of our products are stickerless or commingle eligible. So the large majority of ours do get labeled. And I can't really, I don't know that.
You're not qualified to answer the last part. I mean, there's the thing is, we don't know how much that affects the Amazon algorithm by being.
I'd imagine much. Little less or almost none now with the box contents required, because the way I understand it is now with box contents, they enter those as soon before they even open the box. So they're basically receiving them in the inventory based on whatever the box content label or manifest that you've sent Amazon says on it, stickered or otherwise. So even if that were the case, I imagine it's either a lot closer or non-existent now that Amazon has required box contents on inbound shipments.
Yeah. See if we got any more questions here.
I see one in the chat. It was,
oh yeah.
Do you use U.S. wholesalers or buy overseas too? 99.9% of the stuff we buy is domestic, and it's it's not that we wouldn't buy from overseas. It's just the brand owners tend to be domestic based. We have one from Canada representing, and we have one from the UK.
We got to understand we're researching, sourcing, and scouting products that are in demand on .com. How many German products are you buying on .com personally? How many French based brands that don't have US distribution are you buying? So that's why we don't source those places where, if we were, imagine if we were selling on those platforms and we would then source on those platforms, then we would be looking for, French manufacturer brand owners or German or Italian or what have you. So that's the reason that ours are all domestic, is that it's based on demand that is currently existing on .com. So, the majority of shoppers are obviously American, and they want brands that they know, which are generally American.
I've never thought of it like that. I've always, I would guess 100% correct.
Mind blown.
From that, I'll be honest, from that answer and that little insight, I know we keep this guy around for more than just his good looks now.
Some use it after all.
I already knew that, so.
Yeah.
Let's see. We have another question. Do you guys ship your products to Amazon based on the recommended fulfillment, or do you just send what you have?
The video is going to go into more depth if you watch those videos, but I'll tell you that our orders are 30-day supplies. So I don't actually even look at recommended fulfillments, or we order with the objective of being sold out on day 30.
With our new inventory landing right there.
Right. Reordering and then having continually turning 30-day cycles. So it's not based on anything other than our metrics. Our initial order is based on estimates that Jungle Scouts gives, and the video explains that. But after we've sold our first supply of it, now we have actual data that'll tell me exactly. Amazon has reports that'll tell me this is how many you sold in that 30 days. So did I have more than a 30-day supply? If so, I'll probably order a little less next time. Did I have less than a 30-day supply? Well, then I'll order more on the reorder. So that's that's all it's based on.
Now, I do want to ask this question: is this is that calculation? How does it factor in with, say, leap year?
Well, you're just done. It's really you take the month off, take February off or what have you, but no. So that's kind of how we based our orders.
That's funny. And do you guys use Inventory Lab or Restock Pro?
or use both of those.
Yeah. I mean, Restock Pro is a very, very important part of our business now. It's not something that typically, if you're restocking 5 SKUs, 10 SKUs, 15 SKUs, like you can do all that manually. I mean, but when you start restocking like 100 SKUs, like at that point, I promise you, it will more than pay for itself to have a service like Restock Pro. You'll miss a lot less. And when we transitioned from manual to doing this stuff manually to using Restock Pro, our sales went up about probably 10 to 15%, and that was just based on us not being out of stock all the time.
And I think one of the good questions here too, because I know I have clients that we service here in our prep center that actually kind of thought that Amazon, when you set up replenishing alerts, was always going to send them to you. Well, guess what? They don't. And they got hammered in fourth quarter because they basically thought, guess what? Amazon is going to send me these replenishing alerts so I'll know when to replenish. And they were so busy and didn't pay attention to that part of the business, and they went out of stock in a lot of different items, and they kind of tried to blame Amazon, saying, guess what, Amazon, you didn't send me those alerts, shame on you. Well, if you have Restock Pro or Inventory Lab, that would have never happened.
Right.
I agree.
So just a food for thought out there for, for anybody thinks that Amazon's replenishing alerts are 100% foolproof. They're not. They're set there as alerts, but they don't always send them the way they need to send them, and you can't rely on them. It's just
it's a free service.
Yeah, exactly.
You get what you pay for.
Exactly. Let's see if we have any more. I'm still learning this Zoom. I switched over from Webinar Jam to Zoom. I like it better. But I still don't know when they raise their hand. I don't know if you guys know when someone.
I don't know what that even means. I don't know how to address that.
I see when people. We use Zoom too. We see it.
But usually Q&A in the chat is how we do it. Like when somebody raises their hand in chat, I don't even know, or participants raise their hand, I don't even know what that means or how to address it, unless you just address it on air.
Yeah, just whoever raised your hand, if you can just see, Dan says he raised his hand.
I mean, I know how to raise it, and I know when to see when people do raise it, but I don't know what that means.
Yeah, I'm not sure what that means. So if you're raising your hand and you have a question, just put it in the chat so we can kind of help you. I just don't want to leave you out and feel like we're ignoring you. I just
someone said in the chat, is there anyone to talk to if they have questions? I assume that means if you're in our course. We have a huge and awesome Facebook community. Honestly, there's so many awesome people there now, and questions get answered so fast, and a lot of these people, you have to realize, that took our course 18 months ago and have been doing this model for honestly, about nearly as long as we have at this point, haven't they?
Yeah, without a doubt.
So it's
we started the first quarter. We launched our first one just a year after we're into wholesale. So there's people that are
we have some OGs in there.
Yeah, they're just lagging a year behind us in terms of experience, but there's some that are killing it. So it's the Facebook community group that you get access to when you purchase the course is great for questions. It's got, if you post a question, it'll likely get answered very quickly, but there's a search bar that has 2.5 years worth of questions that that's guaranteed been asked and probably answered. So it's
also, you know what I'm gonna say. We also have the archives, the archives in the file section. One of our employees actually went through, and it's like shipping related questions, and all the shipping questions he could find, he direct linked to the best answers in our group he could see. So it's like it's really, really expansive.
Yeah, and I can vouch for that, because when you do get it and you get into that Facebook group, I'm part of that. The things in there get answered pretty quickly, and the great thing about that is the people that are in that community have all gone through this, and they're all there to help and share and give you their knowledge that they've learned along the way too. So the value of the Facebook course that comes with it, just that interacting of that quick responding is worth its weight in gold just there alone, because a lot of times you get in the Facebook groups and they could be active, but this one's really active, and the people that are in there will actually sit there and they will share and tell you if you have a question about something and don't know something about wholesale or something like that. They're going to get in there and respond. I would suggest, like I said, if you get in this course, that you definitely want to make sure you get part of that Facebook group and get in there, because that that alone is going to help you with your wholesale business, just having a community. When you have a community of like-minded people that are all doing the same type of thing and all want to succeed and help each other, there's nothing better than that. And I know that from firsthand experience by being in there. Hey guys, we're getting close to the hour mark here. I know this is ending tomorrow, because if they want to get on the course, they have to jump in because it's going to end tomorrow. I've had
tomorrow at midnight, I believe.
Yeah, I've had some people ask me, why do you cut it off and why tomorrow? And it seems like it's in January all the time. These are crazy questions that I got. It's like, why do they do it in January?
It's always January and July. Because it's the fun. It just worked out that way. We wanted to launch it twice a year. We put the course together and finished it in about June and launched it the first time in July. 6 months after July is January. And we do it in the manner of only allowing people to register at certain points so that everybody that gets into this Facebook group is, traveling along a similar path. I feel like the group wouldn't be as interactive, as open, and as good as it is if every other day a new student would trickle in with the same newbie question. There's nothing wrong with newbie questions at all, but when one or two people's asking them and then 50 or 60 people are thanking them, you advance a lot of people at the same time without detracting from the overall movement of the group and things of that nature. So that's why we try to do it, so that everybody can progress together. And even though you may not feel comfortable posing the question, which you really should, but I understand that some people don't like to interact, but somebody else asks it and 10 or 12 people are thinking, I was thinking the exact same thing, or maybe, so this will keep people moving along at a pace, and kind of like a group together. So that's the reason we do it that way. And it just happened to be July and January because that's when we got finished with it the first time, and it's just held ever since.
And then beyond that, I personally believe that whenever you give people a window to sign up, you get to see who's willing to take action. Like people that are willing to take action tend to do much better, and that's the people we want to take our course. Why do we? Here's the thing about our course. We actually want people to do well for two reasons. First off, we love helping people. Secondly, the more people that do well, the more people that want to take our course. It's just that's how it works. So we want you to do well. We want you to take action. And I think the sign-up method we utilize encourages people that are going to take action and take action in their business too.
And I think you have some bonus interaction type stuff. I think you had that in the course before, where you guys come in and do some group training and stuff like that.
Yeah, we do 4 live webinars, and those are all scheduled. And those are the webinars John was talking about. Those are crazy. It's like we find out, we get a good sense of exactly what people are kind of needing the most help with, and that's what we really target on those webinars. And we do it live. We try to help people understand exactly, beyond just watching those course videos, exactly how to put those things in place. With that structure, it also really helps a lot.
All right, guys. Any last-minute words for someone that's on the fence and they're trying to do wholesale and they've heard you talk now for almost an hour about this? I know you guys are the real deal. I vouch for you. I know that what you guys do and teach. I know the method behind what you teach, and that your hearts are in it more than anything. I think your hearts are in it. And I think that you really do want people to succeed. I followed you for a while now. I've seen you guys grow, and I've met you and talked to you, and I know you guys are the real deal. I think people need to understand who are on the fence. Just give them some kind of advice. If they're on the fence and they have the capital, not everybody has the capital, not everybody can do this. If they have the capital and they're on the fence, what would your suggestion be to them? Because at one point in time, you guys were on the fence about getting into wholesale.
Sure. If this sounds like it's appealing to you, and it sounds like something you can actually, it's beyond just investing your money into it. It's invest your heart into it. If that's what you want, really watch those videos. That's what we try to do. That's what our goal is to help people achieve the lifestyle that they actually want and the business that fits that lifestyle. If it sounds appealing to you, I say jump in, commit yourself to taking action, And bear in mind, if you jump in and we don't, and you don't like it, like you jump in, and it's like, oh wow, this is not for me. I don't care why you didn't like it. We'll give you a refund. If it's because you don't like our voice, we'll give you a refund. If it's because you hate Eric's green shirt, we'll give you a refund. It's that simple. Like our refund policy is 30 days, no questions asked, and we don't, we're not gonna hound you. There's no hoops. There's nothing like that. You send us an email says I want a refund, you get a refund. So yeah, I would say there is literally no risk with our refund policy for you jumping in if it's something you actually want to do.
Man, Eric, he had to go there. He picked on your shirt. You didn't pick on
You
didn't pick on his Falcon shirt,
which is awful, ridiculous. I mean, I don't know.
We're gonna see on Super Bowl Sunday just how awful the Falcons are.
Right, I hear you.
I'm actually going for them because I'm just tired of New England doing all they're doing, and I'm a New England person. I was just, my Steelers didn't show up. I was really disappointed with that.
Yeah. Had a rough go last week.
Eric's actually going to the game. Yeah. He's going to the Super Bowl live. Because he's a huge bandwagon New England fan.
Nice.
I have a question. I'm based in New Zealand, so working remotely via internet, is your material going to be relevant to me?
Yeah, I mean that's the thing is our business model works from any location. Realistically, you have an internet. There are some complications. Like realistically, you're probably not going to be able to touch your inventory, so you're going to have to. You are going to have to set up, and John can provide an awesome solution for that. Also, you definitely. I mean, I would highly advise talking to a U.S.-based CPA to make sure you're following U.S. tax compliance. As far as I know, it's not very hard, but they're going to be able to give you the right advice on doing that. But yeah, you don't even have to have a resale certificate. All you have to do is have something that proves you're a business. You have a business in New Zealand, and you can work from the wholesale side. Me telling you the tax compliance stuff is just because I don't want you to get in trouble down the road somewhere. So.
Hey guys, it's been great, and I just want to say last words to first of all, thank you for coming on here and sharing with us today. And guys, for you guys that are on here, I want you to know that I just don't promote anything. Anybody that knows me knows that I promote stuff that I 100% believe in. I'm not just here to promote stuff just to promote it. And I know Dan and I know Eric, and I've met them in person and talked to them, and these guys are down to earth. They're from Kentucky. How bad can that be? I mean, he's got the Kentucky Wildcats right there that usually wins the NCAA every other year. So I mean, these guys are for real. And the amazing thing is, and they'll tell you that they built this business from really the middle of nowhere.
It is.
Yeah.
I mean, where they're located out in Kentucky is like where I'm out here in Tennessee. I mean, it's just amazing that I built a multi-million-dollar business. They built a multi-million-dollar business, and we're doing it from, I got cows around me. There's nothing here. If I want to do retail arbitrage, which my son does a little bit still, it's a good hour to 2 hours to get to any major market. And I don't know how far they are from major markets, but these guys are building their business right from their offices. They just got a computer. Without a computer and an internet connection, I think they'd be a little bit in trouble. But home of the Kentucky Fried Chicken, Harlan Sanders. That's right. Go. We know that.
The original KFC is in our town. So
yeah, so like I said, if these guys can do it, you guys can do it. And the amazing thing is they're part of a community like me that are willing to reach out and help you. Even if you take their course and you have questions and there's something I can help you with, I'm going to bend over backwards to help you guys. I mean, because that's what we do. There's nothing better than seeing Dan and Eric would like nothing better than seeing you guys go past them. And they probably have students now that are probably getting up there with the course that they put together for them. And one of the last things I'm going to say before I close is that if you do have, I know it's a short notice and I apologize for that, but if you ever have any questions about what people are teaching and you have questions about it, there's testimonials they have. You know what you do with testimonials? They have names. You look them up. You contact them. Say, hey, listen, how was this course for you? What did you learn from it? And is it something that you would recommend? And I guarantee you the people that have taken that course, those testimonials are going to come back. And they're not just going to defend Dan and Eric. They're going to say that Dan and Eric changed their lives. And there's a huge difference when you have testimonials out there like that and you can find out. Most
Yep,
people,
all of ours are real people.
all of them
Yeah,
are real
that's
people, and they're all reachable and contactable. And that's the beauty of it. When they're reachable and contactable, you don't have to take Dan's word. You don't have to take Eric's word. Take the word of the people that have been through the course and say, hey, listen, I want to take this course. You know, I think it's a little bit, you know, it may be a little bit on my price range. I don't know, but I want to find out what your thoughts are and why you took it and how successful you've been. They're going to tell you. People are going to tell you. They're not going to lie for Dan or Eric or me or anybody. They're going to say, hey, listen, yeah, it was a great course. Again, guys, thank you so much for being here. I mean, you guys have such a busy schedule. I know you got like a couple of nice things going on the end of the night.
Yeah,
So
I'm gonna try to get it back to eat real quick.
yeah, I said hopefully you guys get some rest too in between. And as always,
Yeah.
it's good talking to you guys, and I appreciate you guys coming on here and sharing it with us. And again, guys, if you're on the fence and you want to know about wholesale and you're seriously thinking about going into wholesale, these guys know it. These guys can teach it. You know, they're the real deal. I mean, they'll tell you. I'm not going to sit here and be their testimonial for them. I'm just going to tell you that what they do it right, and they help others do it right. And that's the bottom line.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man.
Yeah, John, it's been great. Thank you again, buddy.
All right. You guys take care, and we'll talk again soon.
Okay,
Absolutely.
see you, buddy.
Okay, take care.